Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendations video. So this one is for something I absolutely love to read in my books, and that is when the hero falls first. Yes, sometimes this means there's lots of pining, sometimes it just means that he's more determined than ever to make her his woman and to make her love him, and I'm so excited to bring these to you. If you don't know, if this is your first video you stumbled across because you just really like these kind of recommendations, I make videos 3 to 4 times a week. I do this full time, so I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I put up recommendation videos, weekly wrap-ups where I talk about every single book that I've read that week, as well as I've done reviews for Outlander and Bridgerton and all those fun things. So definitely check out my page to find out more. So let's go ahead and dive into these recommendations. I like to do these a little bit rapid fire. Let's start with some that I have the physical book for, and then we'll go through some ebooks. So the first one I want to talk about is one of my favorites from this year, actually, and that's by one of my favorite authors, Juliet. She's also a very good friend. This is Always Practice Safe Hex. It is book 4 in the Stay a Spell series. It is recommended that you start with Wolf Gone Wild to read this. Again, I repeat, it is recommended that you start with Wolf Gone Wild as you work your way through this. This entire series mostly has heroes who are falling first or they're mutually falling at the same time, but this one is the most recent release, and it is about a Grimm named Gareth and a witch named Livy, and she has a charismatic charm that just draws people to her. And Gareth is a Grimm, and we don't know too much about Grimms going into this book, but he gets a gut feeling that she is someone he wants to have around, and someone that his monster is very drawn to as well. And looky here, I happen to have some art that the author had put together for each one, and what I do is I put it right inside my book here, and then it's like its very own step back, which is fantastic. Anyway, this book has Livy being very resistant to him. She gets a bad opinion of Gareth kind of early on, and he is just so attracted to her fiery cuteness and hotness, and she just gets under his skin in a way that is unprecedented. And so what does he do with that? He's like, I'm gonna make this happen. And very early on he says, like, I'm gonna get you in my bed, Livy, like, it's happening. But what he doesn't realize initially is that he doesn't just want her in his bed. Like, she's the one for him. She's the one that his monster needs to keep it calm and to keep it, you know, on track. And he will have her. And this is so good. This is the spiciest one in the series. The audiobook just released today that I'm recording this. You can get all of these audios are available right now. And the next book comes out in October, Resting Witch Face, where we get to find out a little bit more about, let me see, I have it right here. We get to find out a little bit more about this couple. I still have it in its plastic. It's not shiny, it's matte like this one, but I'm keeping it in its plastic until the book comes out because I don't want it to get ruined. But anyway, highly recommend Juliet Cross. Don't let these covers fool you, although they are gorgeous. This is not YA or new adult or a rom-com. It is a sexy fucking paranormal book, and it's perfectly on time for October. Next, I will share Brooklyn Air by Serena Bowen. This is technically book 4 in like the Brooklyn Bruiser series, but then it's also sometimes listed as book 1 in the Brooklyn Air series. Like, it has a bunch of different names, but this one is a workplace romance. It's like, it's a friends to lovers, and this definitely has fresh scent of pining hero, okay? He is all about it. So this one is about Nate Katzenberger, who is a tech boy genius. He's a billionaire. He's also the owner of the Brooklyn Bruisers. He's taken them over, and he has an assistant named Becca, and he's been into her for a while, and he's had to keep it to himself. And when in the book before this, she has an accident where she falls on the ice and she gets a concussion, and there are these concussions and pain in her head that's not going away. She's in a lot of pain. And Nate is so tired of seeing her be in pain and be in agony that he's like, all right, I was trying to play it cool, and like let you ask for help when you wanted to, but I'm not watching you be in pain anymore. And he steps in and he's like, you're gonna go see this doctor, you're gonna let me make sure you're okay, you're gonna take time off from work, and you're not gonna worry about it, okay? And in fact, when she has her sister and brother-in-law and baby nephew or niece living with her, where she can't get any peace and quiet for her head to heal, he's like, you're gonna move into my mansion with me. You know, that won't be awkward at all. And what is very quickly revealed to us is that he's been into her for a while, and he's kept his distance so that she wouldn't be in a place of like a power dynamic. He's actually making some moves so that she isn't underneath him at work. I mean, pun not intended, but so that there isn't that like power differential. And I just love that about him, okay? Like, Nate to me is like, in a boss employee scenario, he's the kind that, in my opinion, he tries to do everything right, okay? Like, he doesn't just jump the person at, like, bang them over his desk right away and whatever, like, and that's hot. No dissing it. But when we look at, like, a real world scenario, like, I think he tries to do everything he can right, because he never wants her to feel coerced into anything, even though, I mean, he wants her real damn bad, like, And he's also someone who, he doesn't seem passive in, like, real life, but I mean, he also, like, yeah, he's a boss of a huge company, but when they get in the bedroom and he starts bossing her around, like, it's a whole other kind of boss, if you know what I mean. And I would say, oh, there it goes. I'm on my second video of the day and my throat's struggling. I would say that you could just dive into that book. Like, you could start with that one. It's totally fine. But the series does start with rookie year or rookie move. And so you could start there if you want to, but you could also just read Brooklyn Air. Everything you need for that story is encapsulated. You'd be fine. Okay, then I'm bringing up a series that I absolutely love so much, and it's actually in the Barnes & Noble. I mean, you can get in order from Barnes & Noble, but it's part of the Audible sale right now that's going on. I mean, I know all the books are part of it, but this one has a good discount on these books, and I highly recommend that the audiobooks are how you consume the series, because it's just fantastic. And this is book 2 in the Sons of the Survivalist series by Charisse Sinclair. This one is about Kaz, and our heroine's name is JJ. So she's a female deputy who gets hired to go to this small town of, I think it's Rescue. Is it called Rescue? Anyway, gets called to this small town because she's having trouble finding, well, she's in a very dangerous working environment right now, because she was assaulted by a fellow cop, and she told, and she is the one being, well, she was assaulted or she was in a relationship. Either way, whatever that was went sour, and now she's being blacklisted by her fellow officers where she works, and it's putting her in dangerous position. She's not getting the backup she needs, and she knows one of these times she's going to be at a call and she's going to die because the men don't trust her and won't help her. So she ends up getting a job in Rescue. And now in Rescue, we have Kaz, who is actually a nurse practitioner up there. He used to be an assassin in the military, and now him and his brothers all live in this town. That's the setup for the story, which you find out in Not a Hero. And he's basically the only like medical care they have up there. He's a nurse practitioner. And when JJ moves to town to take over this deputy position, she does not want to get involved with anyone. You know, she's going to stay out of it. She's going to do her job. She's going to do it the best she can, because this is a very small town, and she knows that this has the potential to go sour as well. And there is a lot of misogyny from a certain element of the town. For the most part, the town doesn't give a fuck that she's a woman, but this whole series has these like group of religious extremists slash like you'll see. It's a very interesting scenario, and like they're pretty misogynist, but I mean, obviously, the town sheriff, who, again, that's who the first book is about, he's not like that. And he needs help because he's the only law enforcement in this town. And so JJ is his backup, is his partner now. And when her and Kaz start to have these, like, feelings for each other, and specifically Kaz just is really falling head over heels for her. She's like, I'm not messing around with my sheriff's brother. I'm not putting myself in a position where things can go badly and I have to start over again. And Kaz is having to like convince her of this. There's also one other plot line that makes this very fun in the beginning. Kaz finds out that he has a daughter. This woman that he'd had like a one-night stand with, she was pregnant, and he was undercover in Black Ops. And so when this woman reached out to say she was pregnant, they were like, we can't get a hold of him. And it was because he was undercover, and then they just never told him, and she never tried to reach out again. Well, this woman has died. I believe the daughter is either 9 or 11, and she's been in foster care, and they're finally able to find out about him. And so he gets this like fully grown child just like dropped with him, and she has to move to this tiny town too. So there's that going on where he's like a, you know, this was a surprise baby, but like, you know, a surprise child. And JJ ends up being able to help with that in some aspects. But I would definitely say that Kaz falls first. This series though, I've been telling you with each one, I do recommend, again, very strongly that you start with Not a Hero. These books build on each other very beautifully. They really are just one family saga. There's 4 books in the series, and you will be very happy if you start with Not a Hero. These were all 4 and 5-star books for me, and this was wonderful. I loved it so much. The narration's fantastic. Highly recommend for an obsessed hero falls first scenario. Then we have a dark romance here. This is Bexley's Biker. I'm sorry that it's shiny. I wish Misty Walker did her books in matte. Her newest book is in matte, and I wish this one was in matte as well. I actually have a signed one for this one. And this one says, hang on for a kinky ride, because yes, this one has some kink in it. So this is book 3 in the series. You could probably read this one as a standalone. I'm trying to think. You probably could, but these ones are also really quick. I mean, you guys, when I'm recommending series, I know people, like, it is without fail when I'm recommending series that people are like, do I have to start at the beginning? And my answer is always, it's better for the series, but I hope I'm being clear, like, when I recommend ones, like, which ones you could get away with it and which ones will probably be best if you binge them. This one, the reason our hero's in trouble, I'll get to that, like, happens in a previous book. So you might want to start there. We also get to see the heroine in previous books. And this heroine and hero are a scenario that I really, really like. And that is where the heroine is the grump and the hero is the sunshine. And surprisingly, it's always lately been the woman is a lawyer. I think it's kind of interesting that the female grumps are always lawyers, is what I'm coming to realize too. Because 3 of my favorite grumpy heroines are all lawyers, so that's funny. But Bexley, she is the lawyer for the Royal Bastards MC. And when our hero, Khan, is on trial, is he on trial for murder or what is it? I can't remember what he's in trouble for with this one, but he's the vice president of the motorcycle thing, and she's supposed to be helping with his case. He's actually able to get on an ankle monitor for this, and they're working together on this case, and he's been wanting her for a while, and now they need to work together because he needs a lawyer. And she's like, nothing's gonna be happening. Nothing is gonna happen with me and my clients. And what she doesn't know is that she enjoys a bit of submission. She didn't know this about herself. Again, what do you know? Another bitchy heroine who's got a rough past and hurt in her life that she's become hard as nails, who needs a sunshine, tough, sexy, dominant man to just spank a little bit of happiness in her. Honestly, this one was my favorite in the series. I loved it so much. I loved Khan. He really is so full of life and just ready to live it to the fullest. And when he has this chance with Bexley, he's like, I'm going for it now. She has to spend time with me. I can tell that we would vibe sexually. We're gonna do it, okay? And I just love them. Like, it must not be for murder, because I just saw the back, and he's facing 5 years in prison. Yes, okay. I didn't think it was murder, but I think it's something to do with the business or whatever. He's also a contractor, so he does a lot of like building duh, that's what contractors do and everything. So I really like this MC. It's a pretty small, tight-knit group, and I've actually shared recently, I think this is a good intro to biker books. This series starts with Birdie's Biker. Again, you could probably read this one as a standalone if you want. I do think it's the strongest book in the series, and I think that, what was I going to say? I think that besides the first book, when the president is falling in love, there isn't even really much biker speak in this, which I like. And though there is a little bit of bitches and club whores, like, the way that this one handles it, as soon as the heroine from the first book, again, like once she comes into this world and is with the hero, she really calls them out for a lot of their, like, the way they talk about women. And that just works for me, okay? I love it. I love it. So I really enjoy this book, and the hero definitely is going for it. So, and she has a secret past that he wants to help her take care of. So there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the ebooks, or the books that I don't have. I've already talked for a really long time. This video is going to be quick too, but I love Heroes Who Fall First, so that's why I have so much to say. So we actually have the book that inspired me to make this video finally. So this has been a topic that's been on my list. This was recommended by a viewer, and when I get those in my recommendation form, which I always have linked down below to a video recommendation form where you can recommend a trope that you want from me. What was I going to say? And so this was one that I had on my list that I was wanting to put together. And then just this past weekend, when I went to Wanderlust, I finally read my friend Ashley's book, which is called The Sight of You. And this is a mafia adjacent. It's more like criminal underworld or like shady business practices. This one didn't have too much to do with the mafia. It has to do with some powerful families who make an alliance, but I believe we're going to be drawn more into the mafia. I think so. I actually just got an arc for book 2 where I think the female is supposed to be dominant, so I can't wait. But anyway, this is called The Sight of You, and this was a recent release, and I highly recommend it. Let's get this fellow romance lover, let's get her some reads, okay? This book is about a woman named Alina, and she is part of a family of 4 sisters, and they have their father and the 4 sisters, and she's actually been her dad's bodyguard for the last few years. So she's tall, she's 5'10", muscular, strong, badass. She wears business suits, and she's strapped, okay? Like, she wears a gun holster, she has her knives everywhere, like she is ready to protect. And twice a year, she takes a vacation. Her father makes her take a vacation, and so she will get girly, she will go enjoy herself, and on the last night of every vacation, she will have a one-night stand with someone because she doesn't want anyone to know who she is, so she'll have a no-strings-attached thing on her last night, and she'll sneak out and be on her way, and she gets her urges scratched and moves along. Well, this one night she has a one-night stand, and she says her name is Allie, you know, Alina, Allie. She has a one-night stand with a man named Brody, who we'll find out what his real name is in a minute. But both of them are their names, but they're a little bit cheeky there. So they have this one-night stand, and it's amazing. Like, she literally is like afraid a little bit how good it is. The sexy time's off the charts. We don't see a ton of it. Like, this is kind of sort of the prologue of what's going on, but they both are like, whoa. So she leaves him a note, and she's like, this was great, but I'm leaving. And then she leaves. And now it's just a little bit later. Is it 2 months? I don't know how long it is. Not a ton of time later. But her oldest sister is going to be the one in the family who arranges a marriage of convenience thing. So her older sister's been going to do this. So this man they're going to be marrying that her sister's going to be marrying, his name is Broderick. Maybe you have a hint where this is going. And he goes by Derek, though. And so he is coming to meet Honora for the first time, and they're going to sign the papers and make the merger and have the wedding happen. And when he shows up, the sisters walk in the room, and right away he looks at Alina and he's like, Allie? And she goes, Brody? And he instantly figures out what happened. And I very much appreciate how Ashley wrote this, because there isn't a lot of him like being pissed. Like he's angry in the prologue when she left him, because he's like, we have this connection and she just fucking left me, and he's angry about that. So we know that he's angry, so you're expecting him to just fly off the handle, but he doesn't. Instead, he literally right instantly is like, this is off unless you have me marry Alina instead of Nora. I'm not marrying her. I'm marrying Alina, and I'm marrying her tomorrow, and that's all. That's it. That's what I'm doing, or it's not. And they're like, what? Like, no, like, Alina, she works for the and Alina's like, I'll do it. Which she tells herself is because, you know, she would sacrifice anything for her family. But it's really because she can't imagine her sister being with him instead of her. And literally, Derek gets her, like, they get married, and he is determined to make her love him. He has not stopped thinking about her. All he wants is her. And now that, like, he's made her his wife, he's going to make her love him. And that is literally his thought from, like, the first chapter where we get Derek's point of view. He's like, she's going to be my queen. It's happening. And she's very much like, I'm not going to love anyone. This is a business arrangement. He's upset that I thwarted him. He'll eventually get bored with me. And no, Derek is like, you're mine. And he goes about, you know, sexually coercing her into feeling that way, as well as he's just, you're my partner. I'm not holding anything apart from you. Like, I'm open to you, all of it. And he just goes full in, okay? So I highly recommend. This is very sexy. I gave this a 4, maybe even a 4.5. There's lots of good spicy times in this. I think it is still, like, you can see her growing through her writing. So definitely, if you're someone who will pick apart writing a lot, maybe don't dive into this, because I think you'd be disappointed. But, like, the content of it, like the character she did, the spiciness of it, the obsessiveness of this hero, and how much he is so like, I have her in my hands, I think you'll appreciate it. This hero falls first for sure. I need to keep it moving. Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. I won't say too much about this. This is first in the Psy Changeling series. Our hero is Lucas, and our heroine is, I totally just forgot her name. Bloop. Someone remembers it. And she is a Psy, which means her emotions have been turned off, but she's hiding a big secret, and he is the pack leader of the Dark River pack. Snow Dancer is the wolves. Dark River is the leopards, yes. So he can change into a leopard. He's the leader, and he's being partnered with her for a project the Psy and the Changelings are working on together. But he has ulterior motives, because there are changeling women who are being kidnapped and killed, and they know that it's a Psy doing it, but the Psy are like, there's no serial killers or criminals who are Psy, because they're unemotional, and only emotional people commit crimes. No, hello, psychopaths don't have any emotion, and they still kill things to see what's inside them. You know what I mean? And Lucas, though, he's trying to see a little bit if he can seduce this Psy, she's also falling for him, and that's very dangerous for her, because all Psy are connected through something called the Psy net. They can't survive without the Psy net, but the Psy net also allows other Psy to, you know, kind of monitor you and snoop on you, and that could be very dangerous because she's having feelings, and feelings are forbidden. But in my opinion, Lucas falls first in that scenario, mostly maybe because the heroine doesn't understand what her feelings are for a while, but she's literally not supposed to have emotions, so there's that. Then I actually have a fun little novella that I really loved. This hero definitely falls first, and it's another case of making an arranged marriage to get the woman that he wants, and that is The Butcher's Wife by Sam Crescent. This is just a little shorty. This is a heroine. I think she is 18, 19 years old, and the book, like the novella, begins on her wedding day, and she's being married to a man who's called the Butcher, and she's been given to him as a gift, actually, because she was previously engaged to like the boss's son, and then she was kidnapped to be used against him, and she was tortured, and that torture like it scarred her pretty badly. And then the guy was like, I don't want her anymore. So she's just been like an outcast, even though she was literally traumatized for this fiance. He would have been a horrible husband to her anyway, so it's kind of a saving grace. But then the butcher, he's like 20 years older than her, and he's been a faithful servant to the Dawn for many years, and he offers him a wife, anyone that he wants, and he chooses her, which kind of like throws everyone a little bit, because he literally could pick anyone, and why is he picking this imperfect girl? But he wants her. And this little novella is him saying, like, you're everything I want. I'm going to give you everything you want. I'm going to be a good husband to you. And he is. He immediately just like wraps her up in his arms. You know, things get sexy right away because it is a novella and it is Sam Crescent. But he also is so like, I'm going to teach you to defend yourself, so you're never going to be in that position again. I'm going to help you be strong. I'm going to, like, he builds her confidence, and it's just a very sweet, short little thing, but it's also very clear that he fell first because she wouldn't be marrying him if he didn't fall first, kind of thing. So there's that. Then there is Dreams of the Deadly by Adelaide Forrest. This is another mafia. This is another very dark romance, okay? This is a spin-off from some of her other world. You can read this one at, well, it's not a standalone, it's going to be part of a duet. The second half isn't coming until December now. It's supposed to come soon, but Adelaide Forrest now is writing under 2 titles, so she has a lot going on, but that's okay. This one doesn't have like a cliffhanger the way some of her other cliffhangers are, so I do think you could just read this one for now. You know, like, I understand if you want to wait till both of them are out. I totally get it. I do it myself, but I'm just saying, if you like what I'm about to say about it, you could just read this, because they are together and they are semi-happy at the end of this. Like, they still have mafia shit to do, but like, they're together, okay? And again, this is also very dark. This has breeding kink in it, coupled with like forced breeding kind of thing, but in a specific scenario. There is like, she's not pregnant yet, but it's like leading to like, he needs her to be pregnant for certain reasons. There is abusive parent. There is death of a parent brutally in front of you, and then violence and gore and all these things. There's a whole list. There's a whole list that Adelaide Forrest has, but this book kinky. And what I loved about it is these two, this couple, they're actually like supposed to be married when she comes of age, and so when they're children, literally she's like 5 and he's like 13, the marriage contract is signed, and he kind of becomes like her protector a little bit. He will come to visit her, bring her treats, listen to her play piano, bring her stuffed animals. So he's like acting like a guardian or like a big brother when he's 13, and for the next like 2 years he's looking out for her. And the reason he needs to look out for her is our heroine is colorblind, as well as one other thing. There's something else that's difficult too, but her father hates her for that, and he's very abusive to her and cruel, and just, he's horrible to her. And he continues to like beat her as a child, and our hero, even as a young man, right, like he's 13, 14, 15, he doesn't want to see his future wife being treated this way, because someday she's going to be 18, 19, and she's going to be his wife, and he's like, you can't keep treating her like this. But the father hates this. He hates that this young punk is telling him what to do with his property, because this property doesn't belong to him yet. And so he hatches a plot to get the hero banished and almost killed. So our hero has to leave, and the heroine doesn't know what happened. Her mother gets killed at this time, and her father gets a new wife who's also cruel and mean to her, but she also gets a baby sister from this new stepmother, and she loves this little sister. Like, she really does. It's very beautiful that she is able to love this sibling. And then, anyway, many years later, the hero's back. He's here to get her. He's here to win her. And he's wanted her all this time. And in fact, since she's been a late teen, like, we're not going to say he was totally a good boy, okay? Because he's known she's his promise for a long time. So he's been watching her in her room. He has his Kindle, like, he has his Amazon account connected with hers, so he knows which spicy book she's been reading. And sometimes he'll read along with her, and literally, like, while she's pleasing herself, he'll please himself to the same story. Adelaide Forrest does this obsessive shit, you guys. If you love an obsessive hero, her men, they're for you, okay? Like that series down there, the Blondie Crime Syndicate, like they're for you, okay? And then the thing that just tips it over it is like once he has her back in his house, like she used to always ask him when they were little, like, what does this color look like? To describe color to me. And so he brings her to the new house and he's like, what does this color look like? What does it look like? And he's like, it looks exactly like what you see, because he's decorated his entire house in black and white and shades of gray so that what he sees, she can see. And her entire wardrobe, when she moves in, it's all in black and white and grays, so she's never dressing herself in random colors or patterns she doesn't know. He did that. Literally, I'm a puddle of fucking goo for this man, and you know what? The breeding kink just comes with the territory, okay? I love him. So there we go. Then I actually have a Viking historical to tell you about. I gotta keep it moving. I'm so sorry. I still have 2 to talk about, and this video is getting so long. And that is God's Eye by Susan Fetti. This is a dark historical romance, okay? It's a Viking romance, and our heroine is actually a warrior, and her name is Brenna God's Eye. So she has one eye that is like, it looks very interesting, and so she's considered touched by the gods. So some people fear her because of that, and some people are in awe of her. And she's this big, tough shield maiden, and not even just a shield maiden, like a warrior in her own right. And there is this warrior that she meets once when he's a little boy, and I can't remember the scenario now, I'm sorry, but there's a scenario where they interact when they're young. I think she like saves his life when she's young. I think that's what happens with it. And so he becomes kind of obsessed with her, and he never forgets her because no one looks like her. And now years later, he like goes into battle. Like she works for a king, for a chief. Like she's one of his #1 fighters, and they are like, I think, partnering with another group for like some raids that they're doing. And she meets the hero again, and she saves his life. And when she goes to visit him in like the healer's tent, he's like, you've saved me twice. Like, I'm in awe of you. And he like thinks she's beautiful, and she's like, oh, you're dying right now. And he goes about trying to win her over. And now again, this is a dark, there is rape and assault you're gonna see right off the back. These are raiding Vikings, okay? They're not nice people, okay? You see loss of pregnancy, loss of a child in this book. There is violence and sickness and death. Like, this is raw and real. And this book also ripped my heart out. And the hero and heroine's relationship, and the way he has to convince her that he loves her, and the way that he continually reminds her of that through the different hard phases of their lives, is amazing. Okay, it is. And so if you're in for a gut-wrenching ride, I highly recommend this series as a whole. I've read the first 2 and they're amazing, but this hero, he falls hard. And then the last one I'm going to mention, this video got super long as well, oh my gosh, is The Ippos King by Grace Draven. So this is book 3 in the Wraith Kings. I don't have a beautiful cover of The Ippos King yet. Funny enough, I'll show it off. I finally got my box set from Fake Crate that has Radiance and Eidolon, and hopefully when book 4 comes out, I think it comes out the beginning of next year, we'll get the Ippos King and whatever the other one will be called. But the Ippos King is about a different couple. So books 1 and 2 are about our main couple, Ippos and I just forgot how to say her name, Brishin and Ippos. Rick, I need to see how to say her name. Ildiko. There it is. I had to remember how to say it. It was going to bother me. And book 3, we're still dealing with some consequences of things that happen in those 2 books. And we have a new couple. And this couple is a warrior woman. The woman is actually a Kai, which is the race of being that Brishin actually is. They're this kind of like, I don't know how best to describe it, but they're monster-like, and so the humans in them are a different race. And the marriage of this couple is supposed to bring an alliance, which works a little bit, also doesn't, you know how it goes. And so the heroine, she is Brishin's cousin, And also, like, I think the head of his guard, she's a warrior woman either way. She's badass, she's strong, she's fierce. And the hero is a human warrior, and he is so obsessed with this big strong warrior woman, and he just wants to lay at her feet, and he relentlessly pursues her. Like, it even starts in this duet where he's like, I would like to sleep with you. He doesn't quite say it that way, but he's like, you are so fierce and I would be honored to just worship your body. And she's like, you couldn't handle me, I would snap you like a twig. And he was like, I would happily have my back broken to be with you. And I just love it. And I love how he slowly wears her down. And I love that she's the kind of prickly heroine where you can tell she's getting feelings for him, but she doesn't want him to know that he's wearing her down. And so she definitely stays very frosty. But then when he's in danger, she's like, I will tear people apart. And their sex scenes are so hot, because it is like, she's literally the one who could hurt him. Like, her claws, her teeth, her strength. Like, when they're like fucking, like, she literally could hurt him. She has to be careful. And I don't know, there's something about where the woman is strong enough, but yet she still wants to feel beautiful and feel like praised by him. Just the way that she gets praised is a bit different. So I loved it. I absolutely recommend. Again, that is a series I recommend you start at the beginning, because the consequences that we're dealing with in the Ippos King start before. But there you go. All right, there you go. Those are 10 romances where the hero falls first. Let me know your favorites. These are just some I've read within like the last year, basically. That's why they're on here. I definitely have more of these. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. Like this video. And if you want to support my channel, I do have links to my Patreon, PayPal, channel memberships, because, you know, we want to keep the lights on and I don't know, I'm pointing at the sun. And that takes help from you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.